Good morning, everyone. My name is Andreas, and I am a computer science student. Today, I would like to talk about the video games, especially about the violence. I will start my presentation by explaining why there is a violence in video games. Then I'll continue by explaining does video games cause violence in real life? And finally, I'll close my presentation by giving a solution how to prevent a youth violence because of video games. So, this for the introduction and let's hop into the presentation. Now, have you ever remember when the first video games were released? Well, some of you know and some of you don't. Let me tell you something. The first video games was released in 1970 and the name of the game is Pong. The game looks so simple and the rules are the same as ping pong. Then, let's moving on to 1992. We have a Mortal Kombat that is known as the first video games that have gore and violence in the game. As you can see, every year or even all the time, video games are evolving, and this year, most video games contains blood and violence like GTA, Doom, Counter-Strike, and even the latest game called Cyberpunk. Why? Because according to the research, the video games that contains violence, even just a little bit, it can make the games more interesting, more fun. Let's take an example. If I told you to choose between the Monopoly games and the shooting games, which one sounds interesting? Some of you might choose Monopoly, but I'm pretty sure that most of you will choose the shooting games. Because when you play the violent games, you will find pleasure by hurting people and killing those people. Now you've heard about the contents of violence in video games. And at this point, I'd like to talk about does video games cause violence in real life? I'm pretty sure at this point you must be have different arguments. Some of you think might it's just a game, how it can affect the violence, and some of you think that video games really could cause violence. Let me tell you the fact. According to the research of American Medical Association, in 2007, it found a little evidence that video games could cause of violence. This violence happens because of the unstable emotion of the people around my age, from 12 until 18. So, when they find the pleasure from hurting people, some of you might wonder, what if I do it in real life? Or they do violence because they lose a game? I'm pretty sure that people around my age are difficult to accept defeat. Other than that, the violence in video games can also be happen because of something. What does it mean? It means the some things that trigger someone's behavior, like cursing each other or yelling at each other, and sometimes these words can go down to their family insult. And as a player, obviously the person gets mad and ends up doing violence. As a final point, I'd like to talk about how to prevent violence in video games. Starting from the game developers, they certainly have and must provide a rating which is the minimum age to play the game that they are created. And most games are recommended a parental guidance. Even the games can be played for people around age around 12 until 18. This is where the role of parents is very important. So, as not to carelessly give children playing violent video games and maybe gore, because some of the kids are still emotionally unstable. So, that's for my explanation today. I would like to apologize if I having a misspell or I'm doing something wrong, thank you very much